Welcome to this week's edition of the Schoodown. A tough loss against the Pies this week. Joining me is the senior coach, Adam Simpson. Simo, you've had some time to review and think about the first half mainly, I'm assuming. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I shouldn't laugh. I think people get annoyed when I laugh. I think those type of...
They may also think you're human. That might be a positive thing.
Yep.
You're allowed to smile and laugh. It's okay. I don't think you think it was a good result.
No, it wasn't. I was actually, as much as I was disappointed in the first half, I think the second half, at least we showed a bit of resilience and did some things. You know, the players worked some things out and they got a bit better. But yeah, the centre clearances were a bit of an issue, it's fair to say, in the first half. So it's weird. Sometimes you get games where you just don't really know what, it's slowly but surely you're getting beaten or you're winning. But when it's just one area that's really sticking out, it's hard not to look at anything else other than the centre bounces.
So people will hear, I think it was 7 centre bounce goals in the first half. They'll hear the numbers. Can you just give a little bit of insight as to what that actually means, other than the obvious, they're kicking goals from the centre bounce? Is it something you can fix structurally? Is it something that the players just need to grit their teeth and do? I'm just interested. People wouldn't know.
No,
what that means.
You wouldn't know because you. I mean,
I don't.
No
Exactly
disrespect.
right.
No, a little bit, but the
I know what it means when goals are going over my head.
Yeah, or it's going the other way and you're just walking up the ground. But yeah, the centre bounce meetings that every team has. What used to happen in 18, you could put 10 players behind the ball and you could wings come in defence. You do all these things. Now the 6-6-6 rule, realistically, it's the 4 guys in the middle. That's the most strategic piece of the game. I think it's like a game of chess every week. So, and you're just looking for that 1 or 2% advantage with where you stand or how you position or who you might tighten up on, or are you going to win the hit out? Are you going to lose it? Is it hit out to advantage? So all those things happen. And then, of course, it's not just the clearance. Obviously, scores are bad, but the clearance gives field position and the way teams defend these days. So we conceded 13 inside 50s from centre bounces, which then gets the ball locked in their half, can't get it out. They're a good defensive side. So that was really the main source of concern for us. And some of the things we tried just didn't work. Very good players got on top of the ground a little bit, your confidence grows. I think we ended up putting Liam Duggan in the middle in the second half, and it sort of helped a little bit. I think our rucks adjusted a little bit as well.
He looked like he went a little bit tighter on Nick Dacos to start that second half. Is tagging players, and maybe this is just philosophically, is that going out of the game? I don't see as many teams doing it as perhaps we were 10 years ago.
No, I think it's still there. Centre bounce is hard because if you tag someone, they will start where the ball's going and leave that area, and you'll follow them, and then the next guy will just... Right. And so I don't see many teams tagging in the middle. We just get manipulated so easily, and probably part of what we did that we need to work on, probably got fairly reactive. So then you start chasing your opponent and space opens up. So I think Duggo had a bit of a reference point for Dacos, not in the centre bounce but in general play, and I think he did a pretty good job of just calming the waters a little bit. But with Pendleby and Crisp and all those guys, the other Dacos, and they're a pretty formidable side.
What about my old mate Gov? Have we got any update on him? I was worried though. I mean, he's straight off to hospital. That's never a good sign.
No, I don't think he was happy about that. It was like, as you know, it was enforced. He didn't want to go. So I think there was a bit of a delay on the ambulance, and he said, "Listen, can I just go out and play the third quarter, and I'll meet you in the ambulance after the game." So he wasn't too bad. I think it was precautionary. Did the right thing. I think he understands why, and we're hoping he's okay this week.
Okay, let's get to our audience, Simo. A few questions about the mid-season draft coming in.
Sure.
Is that something that's you start looking at now, given that we're not too far away? List spot being opened up?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we've got to work through Noah Long's injury and whether that's season ending or not, because we don't have a spot on the list at the moment. So once we work through that, we've well and truly done the scouting for it, because there's always that possibility a list spot opens, unfortunately, with injuries you get. So we've done a lot of work on the mid-season draft. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's not an early way to get into next year's draft. It's all the guys who didn't get drafted last year. So the 70th player that didn't get drafted and had a good pre-season and first 8 games at a VFL club or a waffle club, they're the guys who are available. So it's not next year's draft pool. So when it's pick one, just got to cool the jets a little bit. It's a bit of pressure to put on some of these kids who've missed the whole draft last year and then bobbed up. And Ryan Marrick was pick one last year.
Yep.
Had a really good off season, and we're really happy he's at our club. But just got to calm down a little bit on the picks. It's not as obvious who you should pick, and it's the talent's just a little bit different.
Okay, good answer. Chris Walker asks, "G'day Simo, what did we learn about the Pies midfield dominance that we can take into this week and try and limit the impact of Gawn and their powerful midfield against the Demons this week?"
Yeah, two different sides, but very familiar names, aren't they, in the midfield? I mean, Gawn's probably a bigger threat than the Collingwood ruckman. No disrespect to those guys, they played well. But that becomes a fair issue, and then they're experienced mids. They never get injured. Those guys, they just keep rocking up and getting it done. So we know exactly what we're going to get. It's slightly different than Collingwood. Collingwood, their speed on the floor, it's just really hard. Once they get out, you can't stop them. Melbourne seem to be a bit more contested based and predictable, but just as hard to stop.
Okay, Keys has put this one in. Can you explain how we use our wings, especially now Gaff isn't in the side? Getting his usual possession count. We don't seem to use our wings in offensive transition as much as other teams, resulting in low disposal numbers.
It's a fair call. I don't think we're alone. I think the days are gone where the wingers having 30 plus possessions. The game's a lot straighter. You don't see teams switching it and going around as much, and defence has got a fair bit better as well. So there's plenty of games now where you see two wingers just running up and down the shocking position, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just running 15 Ks together, and they're both getting 12 possessions, but they're covering and supporting and covering, supporting, and it's just the competition at the moment that a lot of wingers run a lot of Ks, play a role, but don't get a lot of the ball.
Right, okay, it's interesting. Teresa Hicks wants to know, I understand Hoff is very important and his role in shutting down sneaky small forwards, but in instances like yesterday, could he be someone that can have a run with role with a Dacos to help nullify his influence? Could be an option for, say, a Petrarca if he goes crazy on Sunday.
It was a good question. It was brought up in the box. He's going so well as not a lockdown defender, but he's nullifying pretty much the best small forward, and I don't think he's lost a battle this year. Bobby was pretty good yesterday. He kicked a couple of goals. He looked dangerous, but he's done some great jobs for us. So we threw his name up with a Dacos. Dacos can go on ball, wing, half back, half forward, and we thought Duggan could handle that the best. Petrarca's a bit different. He's a bull, and he does his damage forward as well. So we haven't had match committee yet, but I'll bring it up. For, who was it?
Who sent that one in? Can't remember. That was. Let me just have a look. Teresa.
Great question, Teresa.
Good. Bring her into match committee this week. A. Schroeder. Hey, Simo. Jimmy didn't have the start he would have liked with his disposal efficiency perhaps on the weekend. However, when he went back, he looked to find more footy and looked like he was building a bit of confidence. Is there something might be able to look at going forward, and where do you believe his best footy is long term?
Yeah, we're still working through it. Like, he's 19.
Yep.
And the pressure went up another level on the weekend, and I thought a lot of our players, they weren't jumpy, but just that half a second to make a decision was gone. So that's what Collingwood are really good at, is pressuring opposition, and they did that to us early in particular. So we did move Ruben back when we put Liam on ball, and he can express himself a bit differently because he's probably our fittest player and our quickest, and you probably see that a little bit more when he's on the outside. So definitely something we're thinking about. He's been playing on the wing a tiny bit in the last few weeks. We'll explore that.
People forget how young he is, though. The way he looks, like he's put on a bit of size over
boy,
the
yeah. I'm pretty young on the weekend, and no excuse whatsoever. But young Dewar playing his first game, Harvey Johnson, they look 16. Some of these kids, and our established players, some of them are 20, 21. There's some really good, exciting youth coming through, but they are young.
Perfect. That's all we've got time for today, mate. Thanks for tuning into the Sco-Down. Simo, all the best against the D's this weekend for Sir Doug Nicholls round.
Thanks, mate.